In this video, I'll talk about everything you need to know when it comes to sponsored guitar gear videos here on YouTube. As a gear YouTuber, this is something I've been dealing with for a long time, and it's a thing that's always relevant for you as a consumer of gear videos and me as a creator of those videos. And the reason why I want to make a video on this topic is because I see a lot of comments on it from some of you, and I also see a lot of creators who might be a bit confused about how it works. I don't want to out anyone here. To me, most cases seem to be a subject of confusion, maybe. And trust me, I've been confused too, and I've 100% done mistakes up and through the years when it comes to this subject. And I'm still a bit confused on some of the stuff too, yeah. And I think it's a given that some of you might disagree with either my opinions or anything mentioned about this topic. And if that happens, I urge you to write a comment with your take on it for me to see and reply to, and to anyone else who is interested in discussing it. I just want to clarify as much as possible, so no need to be angry if you don't agree with me or the rules. And one thing that I need to get out of the way before we start with sponsored content: ads on YouTube. If you see an ad, probably an annoying one, it means that the channel you are watching is monetized. When a channel is monetized, YouTube can place ads on it, and there is a revenue split between the creator and YouTube. So the creator earns money by placing those ads, but it's not a sponsored video. So what is a sponsored video here on YouTube? The easiest one to understand is the case where a brand pays the creator to include their product in a video. An example here can be my video on the relaunch of Ross pedals that I did recently. JHS paid me to make that video, and I also got the pedals as part of the deal. That is a classic example of a sponsored video. And this is what I think that most people think of as a sponsored video. When there's compensation between me and a third party, JHS in this case, YouTube wants to know about it. So before I release the video, I check a box inside my YouTube creator tool called "My video contains paid promotion like a product placement, sponsorship, or endorsement." When this box is ticked, you will also see a little box in the top left corner of the video when you watch it. If a creator has been compensated by a third party, you will have to tick this box, not first and foremost for the viewers of the video, but YouTube wants to know. It's part of their guidelines. But it is also used as one of several ways to tell the viewers that the video is paid for. And this is where it gets a bit tricky. Some countries might require that creators do even more to ensure that the viewers are informed about this compensation. The rules and laws have been changing a lot the last few years, but you'll also see some YouTubers disclose the compensation in the beginning of their videos, for example. Some put it into the description of their videos in the comments, and I even seen someone putting it into the title of their video. For most YouTubers, it is enough to check the paid promotion box on YouTube. I do this, and most of my colleagues do this also. And this is where it gets even more complicated, and the main reason to why I wanted to make this video. What if you just got a free product? Is that sponsored or not? Well, in most cases and countries, a free product is seen as compensation. The free product has a value, it is worth something. So in that way, a video with a free provided product should be seen as a sponsored video. For me, it kind of feels a bit misleading checking the sponsored box when it's just a free product. But in my country, Norway, I'll have to do it. And as far as I understand, this goes for most other countries and jurisdictions. It feels a bit misleading because people might perceive it as I also got money on top of the free product, even though I just got the free product. Misleading or not, still I actually think that it is important to disclose that. I think creators should let their viewers know when a product is provided to them for free, because it is important for the viewer and the transparency of the video. Have I always been transparent about this myself? No. The rules and laws were a bit unclear to me in the beginning. They changed a lot, and I also didn't care too much to pay attention, honestly. So it took me some time before I did it, and I do still tend to forget it in some cases, which isn't really a good excuse. And it's also a bit confusing when I use a provided product several times. Do I check the box just the first time or every time? Yeah, that is a bit tricky. I do, however, see some channels talk very loudly on how their content is not sponsored. And I don't think they try to be deceiving. I think some of them just mean that they haven't been paid to make their videos, but in many cases I know that they have received free gear. It is a step to go from free gear to getting paid actual money, but it's also a difference between buying the gear you review versus getting it for free. Yeah. And that leads me into the next part of this video. What is the best scenario for a guitar gear video? Here are some different models. There are probably more and more variations of these, but these are the most common ones. The content creator buys the gear themselves and make a video on it. We can also get the gear on loan directly from the company who made the gear. Same as the one before, but instead of having the company pay for the video, you find someone else to sponsor it. You have probably seen YouTube videos sponsored by Squarespace, Storyblocks, or SeatGeek, or we get the gear for free directly from the company who made the gear, and we get to keep the gear as compensation for our very hard work. Trust me, it is actually hard work. We get the gear for free and we get paid on top of that. Yep. And I would also like to include a last option. The Guitar Gear channel you are watching is directly connected to a guitar store, either a physical store or a web shop. I'll discuss all of these options, and remember, I am biased in this discussion, but I'll try my best to be fair and square about it. Also, it is important to note that not all YouTube gear videos are reviews. Like my channel, for example, up until a few years ago, I only did demos of products. I didn't really share any opinions on the products. I just demonstrated them to the best of my capabilities. But in the examples I'm going to discuss, we are going to pretend that there are opinions on the products. Buying the gear yourself, obviously an option pretty high up there. There's no affiliation between the creator and the company, and the creator can say whatever they want to. What's really not to like, by far the best option in my opinion, but it might be difficult to get the newest gear, and you might not be the first one to review gear. It will also cause the channel to have rather large expenses, especially if you are reviewing guitars and amps, the more expensive types of gear. In most cases, it requires a lot of views to finance a channel like this. If you are dependent on the money earned from those YouTube ads we talked about earlier, you would at least have to have around 500,000 views per month, ideally over 1 million, and that is a lot. You can also finance gear for review from Patreons and or affiliate sales and merch sale. Affiliate sales is when you, for example, have a link to Amazon with the gear you are reviewing. People click that link, they buy that gear, and the creator gets a cut from the sale from Amazon. Second option is that the company that produces the gear loans the gear to the creator. When the video is done, the product goes back to the company. And I watch a lot of camera and tech reviews, and that is often the case in those videos. Canon, for example, sends an early production camera to the reviewers before the official release date, so they can have a video ready for release. After that, the camera goes back to Canon. Anything positive the creator will have to say about the product can't be linked to any monetary compensation. Though I have heard about creators being blacklisted by companies if they are too negative about the product they are reviewing. So you might be on like the mercy of the company. If you are too harsh, no more products for you. And you will still need a lot of views to survive or have a lot of Patreon backers. It is a very good deal for the companies. They only pay for shipping back and forth. The creator is rewarded by being among the first to check out their product, and as a result of that, they get more views. I have seen examples of products being on loan and there is no concrete plan for the return of the product. This is sort of a gray area and it's hard to say if it is meant to be a workaround to avoid correct disclosure of a sponsored video. I don't know, but it's a thing at least. Next model is the same as the last one, but you also include a sponsored part by someone completely else than the company you're loaning the product from. I think this is a great way of doing videos. There's no payment between the company that makes the product and the creator, but the creator will get paid to create the video, and the creator doesn't have to get Mr. Beast-like numbers on their videos to survive. I think this is my preferred method in many ways. It is a bit difficult to find sponsors though, and you still need to be able to get good numbers on your videos to be able to get a decent sponsor deal for your next video. Getting gear for free in exchange of a video is certainly a very good deal for the company. It is basically free advertising. Of course, they do have some production and shipping costs, but that is about it. I've done free gear videos where the videos have gotten hundreds of thousands of views. So yeah, a very good deal for the company who's getting that exposure in return of a pedal, for example, a pedal. And in many cases, the gear which is provided is B-stock. It is not always noticeable, and I don't really care, but the product would have been sold as either B-stock or not at all. Yeah. And the creator can also sell the gear after reviewing it. You know, since you can't eat overdrive pedals for dinner, but keep in mind that it will be sold as a second-hand product, and sometimes the B-stock thing comes into play as well, so you can't really sell it as new, even though you only used it like once. And when I've gotten stuff for free, I do absolutely feel some sort of commitment to being nice about the way I present the product, even if there's no agreement or expectation from the company. But it sort of feels shitty to say, this is the worst overdrive pedal I've ever played, when someone just gave it to you. Luckily for me, there's very little gear I've received up and through the years that is just crap. There has always been something good to focus on as well. And when I went from doing demos to doing reviews, I've sort of just assumed that the companies are updated on how I do my reviews. I do showcase the sounds and features. I say what I like, and if there's anything I don't like, I say it. I never had a disagreement with a company in this regard. A company that is proud of their product can absolutely handle that I'm not a fan of the third voicing on their fuzz pedal. And then it's up to you to decide if you trust my opinion or not, as long as I disclose the relationship with the company the proper way. And I think it's a bit unfair to value free gear videos a lot over a paid video. The creator is still being compensated in some way, and there is in fact an affiliation between the company and the creator. And then we have the big one, getting the gear for free and you get paid. And this is the model I've used most the last few years. I think it's very similar to getting gear for free, but I feel that it's even more important to be upfront with the viewer on what is happening. And it's even more important to have a good relationship between the viewer and the creator of the videos. And that can be difficult if a viewer is like watching a channel for the first time. For example, I have a thing in my reviews where I don't try to actively look for good or bad things. I want my opinions to be intuitive. If I struggle to find something good to say about it, I don't say it. If I struggle to find something that really bothers me, I don't say it. And in most cases, there's a predominance of good things to say, and sometimes nothing negative. And if you are watching my channel for the first time and you see like 3 videos where I don't have any negative feedback in those videos, it is understandable that the viewer might feel that my videos are biased, and it's also understandable that they think that is linked to the fact that the video is sponsored. Like, there's no doubt about that. It is understandable that someone would prefer a non-sponsored video over mine, even if the non-sponsored video was just as positive-minded as mine. Yeah. A last problem with this model, and I can only speak for myself in this case, are situations where I don't like the products at all. Up and through the years, this has happened only once to me. And in that case, I felt that the product didn't work as it should be. And I think I got like 2 replacement units before deciding that I wouldn't review the product, because I would only be focusing on the fact that I didn't like the product, or there was a big problem with it. And I also need to mention that I talked to other YouTubers that didn't have the same issues that time as I did with the product. So it could be that I was really unlucky and that I got 3 broken products. Still, the problem here is that my video of that critique never went online, and that could have been a valuable video for you. Yep. But as I said, I think I've done over 1,000 videos on this channel, and I've had this happen once. I don't think it's a big problem, but even I feel that it's easier to be brutally honest when I've invested in gear myself and there's no affiliation between me and the company. And the last common thing we see is guitar store run YouTube channels, and I haven't been able to find anything on how they should operate legally when it comes to disclosing things, but they do in most cases own their own inventories, so I think it shouldn't be seen as sponsored content directly. But of course, they are connected to either the company that they're buying the products from or a distributor. It feels like I've grown up watching Andertons, for example, and their content feels very genuine to me. For example, they're not afraid of pointing out flaws on products they include in videos. So I feel that store content should be seen as similar to sponsored content. You need to find out yourself if you can trust the videos or not. But even if the content seems genuine, I bet the store would prefer if you bought the gear from them and not some other guitar store. Of course, if I ran a channel like that, my agenda would be to promote my store, of course. And I think guitar store channels are great. I like them. I have seen one though, and that is not Andertons, kind of crapping on paid sponsorships and saying that their content is more trustworthy and valuable for the viewers. Yes, they don't get paid to make videos, but there's also very little incentive for them to crap on a product they want to sell, and even more incentive to crap on a competing product they're not selling. Yes, sponsored videos can be problematic, but I don't think you can say that store channels are more trustworthy just because they make non-sponsored content. So out of all the options here, I am admitting that sponsored content can be problematic, especially when channels are not being upfront about it. So why do I charge for videos? Well, let me tell you about a theory of mine called the Guitar Gear YouTuber Money Paradox. When you are a new small channel, you are in most cases combining that with some sort of income. You have a job and you make guitar gear demos or reviews on your spare time. Nice. You demo the gear you own, you buy some, you borrow some, everything is financed through your main source of income. You can stay as independent as you want because your day job puts food on the table. At some point you gain a lot of subscribers and views, so many that you now have an income through YouTube ads and most likely so many products coming your way that it's hard to do it as a hobby. For me, this is the point where I first started to work less at my main job, eventually quitting that job and started to do YouTube full time. Maybe irresponsibly, some might say, because even if you have a YouTube channel with over 50,000 subscribers, it is really hard to earn good money. YouTube ad money is pretty bad, even like my top months barely covers my mortgage and food. And personally, I've never been able to build a good Patreon backing. I've sold some merch, not a whole lot. It's a constant grind, and believe me, the demand from the companies, that's there. There's always a new pedal or a guitar or amp that someone wants a video on. We, the YouTubers, are important to the companies, most companies at least. And we spend a lot of time creating these videos with film gear that cost a lot. We help the companies reach their audience with a video, and we also bring them to a new audience. And for me, that is worth more than, let's say, a free pedal. Yeah. And I won't disclose my current prices, but I can say that it's way below what I charge when I work as a filmer on other projects. And yeah, I do that on the side of YouTube now, not just YouTube. And let's say I did 2 days of filming and 2 days of post-production, which is usually what I spend on a YouTube video. As a film worker, I would charge around 3,500 for the job and the gear. And I'm not even close to charging that for a YouTube video. I can also mention that I've worked with other influencers here in Oslo, and they charge probably 10 times what I do just to wear a sweater in an Instagram photo. And I'm not saying all of this to justify my prices or the fact that I charge. I know if anything I should increase them, but I'm just trying to explain how we make a living. And now, why do I call this a paradox? Because the level of YouTubers above me again, the really big channels with over, let's say, 500,000 subscribers, you often see that they don't charge for gear placements on their channels. And that is because they are able to make a comfortable living with YouTube ad money, and they usually have a huge following, more Patreon backers, more people to sell merch to and courses to. These people are often extremely good at what they do, both at making great content, and they are really good at everything they do with their YouTube enterprise. And this is how I would like to operate myself, but it's not easy to become that big. And I can also add that you don't often see straight up reviews on channels like that, but more like featured gear. But sometimes you see reviews and demos as well. So to sum it up, if you are a small-time YouTuber, you don't have to worry about earning money doing gear videos, so you can do them for free. If you're a big-time YouTuber, you can earn enough money through YouTube itself, so you can feature gear for free and be independent. If you're in between these two, you might have to charge to keep the channel going, because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. So what can all of this tell us? I don't think there's a perfect way of reviewing guitar gear, and if there is, it's probably best that the content creator buys the gear themselves. To be able to access gear early, the gear on loan for video models seems to be a good option, but this really isn't anything you see that much in the guitar gear community. The release of a new pedal just isn't as popular as the release of a new camera or a new iPhone, so the creator is not getting enough views to justify the hassle of borrowing gear for a video. For the consumer of guitar gear videos, I think it's important to be a bit critical to whatever channel you are watching, and you probably need to know them a bit before you know if you can really trust them or not. And I'm of course biased here, But personally, I don't think channels who are upfront about being sponsored is a red flag necessarily. I think you need to make up your own opinion on how reliable the info you are getting is. I think it can be a tiny red flag if there is no disclosure at all on how the gear landed on the channel, and some creators are confused when they say that the video is not sponsored. It can still be sponsored without them understanding the guidelines on YouTube and the laws in their jurisdiction. I also think that some of them knows perfectly fine what they are doing, but they don't disclose correctly because they want to be independent. And I completely understand that it feels a bit annoying to mark a video as sponsored when the only compensation you got was a $100 free pedal. But that's how it works. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.